everybody, I'm Lara Trump coming to you from Studio 45 at Trump Tower in New York City. Fake news takes many forms, including the omission of good news about President Trump's policies, such as his historic tax cuts that are improving the lives of all Americans. Joining me to discuss the good news hidden by the mainstream media is a New York Times best-selling author and the host of America This Week on Sinclair Broadcasting and the host of America on Blaze TV, Eric Bolling. Eric, thank you so much for joining us. You are such a big advocate for the president. We are excited to get you on the show.
Well, it's kind of easy. Thank you for having me, Laura, first of all, and great to be with you. It's easy. The problem is, as you point out, the mainstream media will not give the man credit. I come from the economics world. I spent 15 years on Wall Street. I spent the first part of my TV career on a business show. What President Trump has done, sure, the unemployment numbers, those are a layup, and he should continue to tout those. But the one thing that's hidden in all the debates about whose economy is it President Obama's economy still, or is it President Trump's, is the fact that wages are substantially moving higher for the first time in more than a decade. That goes beyond President Obama's terms into President Bush's terms, almost all the way back to President Clinton's terms.
Right.
A substantial jump in wages means one thing. It means the middle class, not the wealthy 1%, not the poor who probably aren't paying any taxes. The middle class gets a massive boost in economic buying power, and that's what really matters. No one wants to talk about it because the middle class is what reelects presidents, and likely the left-wing media doesn't want that narrative out there. But
it's
wages
funny
going
how that
up
works,
is massive.
isn't it? That they won't talk about that. They actually try to insinuate the opposite of that all the time. But I always say I think people feel it out there in the country, and despite the fact that the media isn't telling the true story about what this president is doing, I think people feel it. Now, you just actually interviewed President Trump for your new show and discussed just this, the media's efforts to distort his economic record. I'm sure he had a lot to say about it. How did that go? What did he have to say?
Well, first of all, he was very, very upbeat. I got the first interview in the Rose Garden that he's ever given.
Oh, wow.
And we sat down for 15 minutes, and I spoke to him prior to the interview and afterwards. So he was very, very open about many topics, immigration, some of the anti-Semitism that's bubbling up. But he really wanted to focus in on the economy, and rightly so. I mean, at 3% growth, I will never forget. I took so much heat when he was running as candidate, and I said, this guy is going to turn the economy around. That, he was predicting a 3% growth rate on a $20 trillion economy. That was a tall order to ask for, and I said, he can do it. 3% is massive, but he can do it. President Obama had 1.8% growth over an 8-year period. President Trump is bubbling at 3% GDP. That is a massive, massive economic doubling of growth in a very short period of time. I just hate it when the left says, oh, but that's Obama's economy. It's not. The first thing Trump did, I'll never forget this, he came in on a Saturday and he started rolling back regulations for businesses so that the business culture, environment in America will be much friendlier. That's why growth happens. That's why wages go up, because business owners feel more confident that they'll be able to do business in America, and they pay more to their employees to keep them. Right. These are the things that you don't hear on the left wing. Frankly, you don't even hear it on the right leaning media, because a lot of the people who are talking about it don't even understand the power that this is.
Right. And we actually remember, Eric, that President Obama himself said that 2% was the new normal that this country could expect for growth. Had no hope that we could ever get above that. And here we see, to your point, that we have President Trump come in and 2% growth is no more. We're way above that, and I think we're on a great trajectory. Yeah. Now, we just passed tax day, April 15th, and we marked the first full tax year under the Trump tax cuts, and they're fueling the creation of an average of 211,000 new jobs every single month. I mean, this is another great story, Eric, that the media is refusing to tell.
No, they don't want to tell it because it's a good story. It's kind of funny because Originally they wanted to talk taxes, and then all of a sudden the Mueller report came out, and the Mueller report exonerated the president, and now they're back on let's talk taxes again. They don't have a story. Their problem is the Democrats do not have a sellable story in 2020. It's been let's attack Trump, let's impeach Trump, let's catch him doing something wrong, and now they are here. What, 18 months away, less than 2 years away from a 2020 election. Trump's away from a re-election, and he's got the solid inside track to getting reelected because they don't have any policy. Their whole policy was attack Trump, and that's falling apart in front of their eyes. They're scrambling to find something to stick for 2020, and right now there's nothing.
Yeah, and the media actually spent months, as we remember, predicting a recession leading up to the inauguration of this president. They said if Donald Trump got elected, it would be the downfall of our economy. Yet all signs show a still strong economy, still continuing every single day. And this is the alternative that we see on the side of President Trump. And what are the Democrats pushing, Eric? Socialism. The media is just enabling these outrageous and counterproductive policies that could lead to a really detrimental situation for our country, don't you think?
I do. Not only that, some of the other numbers that get wonky when you're watching cable and anchors don't want to talk about it, but they matter. Housing prices near record high, business confidence near record high, if not a record high, and that matters for jobs and wages going forward, but also stock prices. Now, they've put the boogeyman on stock prices because they say, oh, only rich people have stocks. That's not true. Rich people definitely have stocks, but somewhere around 45% of all Americans have a stock in the form of a 401k, so we all care that the stock market doesn't crash. It matters. Then you see why these stock prices are going up. It's because of all the rollback of regulation that President Trump has enacted, and also lower corporate taxes, lower taxes across the board. That's what's pumping the stock market, and that means a lot to the 45% of us who have stocks. And by the way, that happens to be about the same 45, maybe 50% of us who pay federal income tax as well. So the people who don't want to talk about stocks are the ones who probably aren't even paying income tax to start with anyway.
You have courageously advocated on the opioid epidemic. It tragically took the life of your son, Chase, and the president has been fighting very hard on this. You're involved with these televised town halls. You've hosted them around the country. I know that this has got to be something that's so personal and so emotional for you. But tell me a little bit about this and really how much it must mean to you that you have a president that is fighting very hard on this as well.
So tragically, I got the phone call September 8th of 2017. I got the phone call every parent dreads. A young lady was crying on the other end of the phone at 10:30 at night on a Friday night. I was coming home from dinner with my wife. She was driving, and it was his girlfriend, Kayla. And I don't know why I said it, but I just went right to, Kayla, is he still alive? And she whimpered no. And my wife heard this on the cell phone. She pulled over, and she literally fell into the roadway. I gathered her up. We sat on the side of the road, and we cried for 3 hours, and all she could say, my wife, was no, 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 no. He's our only child. He died of an accidental opioid overdose in college. He was a sophomore at University of Colorado. The next morning, we had to fly out to Colorado, the most difficult thing I've ever had to do by 1,000 to identify the body. President Trump called me that morning, and I was in just no state. He said he gave me sympathies and anything he can do. I said, Mr. President, if you don't mind, I'm just in no place to talk right now. Can we talk again? A few weeks later, it was Thanksgiving, and there's that ominous empty chair. We were staring at it. It was his chair. The phone rings again, and it's the president who says, Melania and I are standing here right now. It's Thanksgiving morning, and we know how hard this is for you. What can we do? And I said, thank you so much. It meant so much. I said, next time I'm in D.C., could we sit down? And so that kind of opened the dialogue in the opioid world. Unfortunately, I've become the name in the face for the opioid epidemic in America. It's something I don't want to do. It's nothing I ever wanted to be part of, but it's something I feel I have to do for the legacy of my son. And so, like you said, we've done 13 town halls now. We have a few more around the country, Sinclair, Liberty, and the First Lady's come out to a couple of them. I mean, she spent time to fly to Liberty. She spent time to fly to Las Vegas to deliver a message that that the White House, that the administration, that the First Family cares about a crisis, an epidemic that's sweeping the country, and it's meant so much. And frankly, she's saving lives, we're saving lives. We've had so many calls saying, I saw the show. I saw the show last night. Last night, late night, we were in Little Rock, Arkansas. I saw the show, and I decided to quit heroin, or I decided to go get help. Wow. So lives are being saved by this collaboration by some great groups, including the First Family.
Wow. Well, obviously, you have our full support. Everything that you're doing is so important. Our most sincere and deepest condolences, of course, on the loss of your son. As a mother of a son, I cannot imagine getting a call like that. But it's incredible what you're doing every single day to, again, like you said, keep his legacy alive and really help so many people out there. We heard during the 2016 campaign, and the president, one of the reasons he's so strong on this is that he heard from all different people, from all different walks of life, how big a problem the opioid epidemic in this country is. And he is bound and determined to do everything he can to end it and to save lives, because it is so tough to see these young people ruin their lives or potentially end their lives because of this. But it seems like, Eric, the media and the Democrats are so out of touch. They can't see that the president's opioid policies and other major policies, such as prison reform, are actually delivering critical relief to these communities that everyone has ignored for so long. As a personal thing for you, I mean, how do you take that when you see that the media continues to ignore this?
It's disturbing. I think of all things, of all issues, I agree prison reform, but of all issues affecting the country, I think the opioid should be nonpartisan, because it doesn't matter if you're Democrat, Independent, Republican, black, white, gay, straight, tall, short, smart, pretty, ugly, athletic, popular. It doesn't matter. It will cross the paths of our young people at some point. We need to have the discussion. So it's kind of bad when someone will write a story about me or the First Lady joining me to an opioid summit. We're trying to help people, right? And they'll ignore the issue. 115 people every single day in this country, 115 people every day in this country die of opioid overdose. Just opioid overdose. That's like flying an airplane into a building every single day and everyone dying. If this were the water or the food or anything else, we'd be jumping over ourselves to fix the problem. For the media, I think the lawmakers understand it on both sides of the aisle, but I think the media, because of dislike of Trump or maybe dislike of me, chooses to ignore this most definitely important message, certainly the most important message I've ever delivered. So hopefully we raise that awareness a bit and remove the media's bias to that.
Yeah, well, it's so important. And listen, as I said when we started this, you fight every single day for the president, and we appreciate everything that you do from our entire family, from our campaign, and on behalf of the president. Thanks for all that you're doing, Eric, and thank you again for joining me here today. I've been on your show a couple times, so I'm excited to get you here.
You were on the launch show of America This Week, and we'd love to get you back. You're awesome, Laura. Thank you so much for everything you're doing, too.
Oh, thank you. Well, we hope to see you back here soon.
Will do.
Though they may try, the fake news media can't hide all of the good news the Trump agenda is delivering to hardworking Americans and communities all across the country. That's the real news for today. I'm Lara Trump from Studio 45 at Trump Tower in New York City. Thanks for joining us, everybody.